Hello again, BookTube. I'm just as surprised as you are to see me. This is my third video in 3 days now. With Memorial Day and a 4-day work week, this is actually my third day off in a row. So I'm bored out of my mind. So I can only clean the floor in the house so many times. So in between reading and my shows at night and all the games, might as well catch up and make some videos for you. This actually goes back to last month. A book club I'm in on Fable, dedicated to reading Stephen King books. Uh, our last selection was, as you can see in the title, Misery. Came out in 1987. I always loved the movie, never read the book, so this is my first time. I tell you, there's no shortage of videos about Stephen King and Misery on YouTube here. So rather than give you rather so much a review, I want to point out a couple things that jumped out to me while I was reading this. A couple kind of humorous, some kind of serious too. A quick overview of the story. You have the character Paul Sheldon. He's a writer. He was driving on a bad wintry roads in Colorado. He crashes, and he's rescued by Annie Wilkes. She pulls him out of the car, takes him home, and nurses him. And it turns out she is his biggest fan because Paul is a very famous author, and one of his most famous characters is a woman named Misery. It takes place like centuries ago too, maybe like Victorian times. I'm forgetting. And Annie loves this story, and so we get the kind of feeling right from the beginning that she's like a somewhat dangerous, maybe not so. Yeah, she's taking care of him, but maybe it's like there's something else going on with her. And boy, things really turn out bad for Paul when Annie reads his latest book and discovers that he killed off this character Misery, which which brings us to the plot of the story. He is stuck there. He's bedridden and can't move, and she is keeping him there, and she will keep him there until he rewrites the ending to Misery and fixes this horrible crime. Like I said, that's the basic plot. I'll leave it there. There were three things that jumped out at me while I was reading this. Number one, the book came out in 1987. So here's a question, rather. Was this Stephen King's attempt at creating some kind of a slasher? Because Annie Wilkes, she's scary, kind of freakishly strong, and she just won't seem to die, no matter what happens. So, and like I said, this was the late 80s, like the period for slashers and horror movies. Can't help but wonder if Stephen King was somewhat influenced by his time period for this character. Second thing that jumped out at me, one thing about this book, and this is as probably classic Stephen King as you can get. Like I said, like Paul Sheldon, he's being held up in this house now. He has to write another Misery book to bring back this character he's killed off. And excuse me, came in from outside. The terrible pollen outside. Normally in these types of stories, we maybe get like a passage, like this new Misery book, maybe get a passage, or someone just references one thing. We never get the actual story. But no, this is a Stephen King novel. So what does Stephen King do? He actually writes chapters, like whole chapters of this other Misery book. So you're getting a book within a book. It is as classic a Stephen King move as you can probably imagine. And it was interesting too because I'm wondering, this story, like it's just these two characters in this house. How are they going to fill in the time? Well, simple. Stephen King wrote two books, or at least one whole book and a few chapters of another one. And finally, one thing that made me laugh. I say this with the benefit of hindsight. So there's a part in the book where Annie's keeping Paul there, and she says she can't wait to see how this book ends. And Paul says to her, like Annie, I don't know how it's going to end. He explains to her, you could write an outline, but as you get going, the story just takes you, and he does. So he himself admits to Annie he does not know how the story might end. She may not like it. And we say this in the benefit of hindsight. That is so autobiographical, because like I said, this book was in 1987, so I don't know if anybody was aware of this back then. But if you watch an interview with Stephen King today, he's very open about it. That's how he writes. He hates outlining. He just writes stories, and wherever it takes him, it takes him. And so I thought it was kind of humorous. You look back now, he kind of wrote his own writing process in the book too. I've heard over the years too, Stephen King, he'd have people come up to him so angry, like, "Oh my God, how could you have killed off that character?" And he apologized that I didn't know what was going to happen. So it made me laugh that he put a little bit of himself in this character, Paul Sheldon. As I mentioned, like how Stephen King's very open about this nowadays. Over the years, he has done some great interviews, or even like little discussions in a stage in front of an audience, and they're on YouTube. I will find some of the ones that I like the most, and I will put them in the description box below for you. Like off the top of my head, I remember there was a great one. Like he did like a sit down with George R. Martin, author of Game of Thrones. Like, the two of them sat on a stage in front of an audience and just talked to each other about their types of writing styles and whatnot. And so I said, I will find these videos. I'll find a couple of them. Excuse me, and they will be in the description box below for you. With that being said, folks, I will leave you with that. So, Misery by Stephen King. One of my favorites I've read of his so far. And let's see. Okay, one thing I was going to end the video with, in case anyone's confused by why there's a coffee cup in the thumbnails of my videos, well, that is the mascot of my channel. His name is Phil, and I came up with him like a couple weeks ago. I actually introduced him in the community tab of my page, but I don't know how many people saw that. So in case you're wondering why there's a coffee cup in all of my thumbnail videos now, there you go. His name's Phil, as in like fill my cup, refill, Phil. There you go. Like he's having a ball. He's currently in the sink soaking in the hot water and soap. All right. So until then next time, me and Phil are going to be reading some more Jude on the Range. I'm still engrossed by this Jesse James story. This guy, Ron Hansen, a fantastic writer. All right. Have a good one, everyone. Take care. Happy spring.